What's going on, everyone? It's Vicente, and welcome back to the IV Podcast. And ladies and gentlemen, we got a thing to discuss. We have to talk about the toxicity and the Star Wars fandom. And yes, even though it's a minority group in this fandom, it's still toxic. It's Star Wars. Come on. But let's take it back to the beginning of Star Wars when everyone loved the originals. Let's take it back to the original Star Wars film, which was just called Star Wars, released in 1977, and it was a hit with everyone. George Lucas, hell, even the cast did not expect a movie like this to be that big. And we get the baddest and biggest fucking villain in the entire history of cinema, Darth Vader, dude. Man's a badass. We get Luke Skywalker, we get Chewbacca, we get Han Solo, we get Leia. Awesome movie, a lot beloved by a lot of people. And then Empire Strikes Back, released in 1980, was a huge hit, an even bigger hit with audiences and fans alike, which some claiming was the best Star Wars movie ever. But to me, you know, it's my third favorite. We'll talk about my other two, my top two in a little bit. But we get the introduction of the badass bounty hunter Boba Fett. We get introduced to Lando Calrissian, and we finally get Vader versus Luke, and we get the revelation that Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father. Spoiler alert. And, you know, we get Yoda's introduction, too. Yoda's a badass. Who doesn't love it? But it was a pretty dark film. Like, it was very, very bittersweet, especially the ending. And then 1983, we get Return of the Jedi, which is my personal favorite. It was the first Star Wars film I seen when I was a kid. My mom and my brother Victor just put it on one day when I was a kid, and ever since then, I fucking fell in love with Star Wars. We get the revelation that Luke and Leia are siblings, and their father is Darth Vader. And we get, to me, the best lightsaber fight there is, Luke Skywalker versus Vader, the rematch that we were waiting for. And Luke almost takes Vader's life. And then we get introduced to Emperor Palpatine, who is also another iconic cinema villain. This movie, I just fucking love. Granted, yeah, it's a little slow paced in the beginning when they're trying to infiltrate Jabba the Hutt's palace, you know, because Han Solo is frozen in carbonite. They're trying to have a rescue mission, all that fun stuff. But then when we get to the final battle on Endor, everything's just perfect to me, and I just love this movie. Of course, you know, after the original trilogy ended, you know, authors and fans made their own books. You know, my personal favorite was the Heir to the Empire storyline. We get the badass villain, Grand Admiral Thrawn, you know, and after an epilogue to the original trilogy, and this is when Luke is a fucking badass, dude. Luke in Legends canon, we all know he's fucking amazing, he's badass. The dude literally became the Force itself, and I heard that he stopped a black hole, or he survived a black hole, or tore it apart. I haven't read that specific Legends book, but dude, Luke Skywalker's a badass in Legends. But then, you know, I have read some books where Han Solo's kind of a dick to his kids, because I think Chewbacca tries saving his kids. I could be wrong, quote me if I'm wrong. But yeah, Legends, we started getting a Legends book that talked about what happened after the original trilogy, and fans seem to love them. And then for a while, George talked about doing a prequel trilogy to cover, you know, who Anakin was, who Obi-Wan Kenobi was, who the Jedi were before they were disbanded and destroyed by Darth Vader, and just what happened in that time era, who was the mother of Luke and Leia. And May 19th, 1999, we get The Phantom Menace. Now, for me personally, I don't really mind Phantom Menace. It's not a Star Wars film I would say I love entirely, but it's okay. It has its moments. I mean, for fuck's sakes, we get Liam Neeson as fucking Qui-Gon Jinn, probably one of the most badass Jedi, and just a badass dude in general. Liam Neeson, fucking awesome. Raj Al Ghul, for God's sakes. And we get Ray Park as Darth Maul, and that man, Darth Maul himself would go on to be a fucking legend in the whole Star Wars community, and even in just Star Wars lore, whether it's Legends and canon. But unfortunately, this is kind of where the toxicity, as far as to my knowledge, started. From what I've read, a lot of Reddit forums, interviews with the cast back then, you know, when these movies were getting released, and just the online hate that Jake Lloyd got. Now, it was revealed that Jake Lloyd and his mom talked about it. He said that Jake was protected as a kid from an online hate from his mom, but when he got to high school, that's where he started seeing a lot of the bullying because of him portraying a young Anakin Skywalker, and that's just bullshit, which we'll talk about at the end, you know, when we're done talking about the prequel trilogy. And the one that suffered the most a lot, Ahmad Best, and that's where a lot of Star Wars fans back then fucked up. Yeah, like I said, we're going to talk about those things right at the end of the prequel trilogy. Then in 2002, we get Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, and this is where the hate for the Star Wars fandom started coming in a little bit more, because the internet was starting to become a really big thing. So people were bashing on Hayden Christensen's portrayal as Anakin Skywalker, saying he's a bad actor. And it's like, it's not really his fault. I mean, yeah, sure, there are some parts of the movie to where he is like having some weird acting moments, but I blame the dialogue because George Lucas wanted Shakespearean dialogue, and it might sound good on paper, but when you say them out loud, it's just, did it really sound good? No, not really. And then you know, like the whole love story with Padme and Anakin, saying it was just weird. It was just like Romeo and Juliet. Well, I mean, how else are you gonna do a love story? You know, this man loves Padme. You can't blame him. And then this is where Anakin starts going to the dark side. You know, when the Tusken Raiders kill his mom, he murders a whole village. And I think people back then, to my knowledge, like I said, this is what I see from Reddit forums and just from interviews with Star Wars fans. They did not like how Anakin just slaughtered an entire village of Sand people, but it makes sense. You gotta lay the foundation for him turning to the dark side. But we get introduced to Count Dooku and the badass bounty hunter Jango Fett, and a nice little origin story for Boba Fett when it's revealed that he's the son of Jango, just an unaltered clone. And we get more Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi. Come on. Who doesn't love Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi? Hello there? Come on, man. Just a fucking classic. I love Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi. On May 19, 2005, we finally get Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. The most emotional, best fight choreography, lightsaber fight, Anakin Skywalker versus Obi-Wan Kenobi. On Mustafar, we see Order 66. We see the clone troopers gunning down the Jedi. We see Mace Windu try to fight Palpatine, and he wins, but without Palpatine murdering a lot of Jedi Masters. And we see the death of Padme, Obi-Wan cutting down Anakin Skywalker on Mustafar, making him lose his legs and his good arm. Anakin being set on fire, and then we finally see Anakin Skywalker in the Darth Vader suit, and chef's kiss for this movie, man. It's, to me, this is the best prequel movie in the prequel trilogy. I just love, it's my second favorite Star Wars movie in the Star Wars saga. There's nothing I can say anymore about this movie. Everyone just knows how good it is. Yep, but this is where we gotta talk about the toxicity when it came to the prequel trilogy, and I kind of want to start with Jake Lloyd first. Now, recently, Jake Lloyd and his mom came out and said that Jake Lloyd still loves the Star Wars saga. He loves all the movies, including the Disney ones, the sequel trilogy. You know, and he said that his mom protected him as a kid from all the online harassment and bullying. W mom, by the way, I'm glad she fucking protected her son when she was a kid. But then when Jake Lloyd got to high school, that's when he started seeing a lot of bullying for him as Anakin Skywalker. But I want to talk about this. For any Star Wars fans that come across this video that fucking hated Jake Lloyd as Anakin Skywalker in the beginning and actually had to bash him, you guys are fucked up people, dude. You guys are grown-ass adults making fun of a fucking little kid that's just doing his job, dude. I'm sorry, and thank God that that's not the reason why Jake Lloyd quit acting. He quit acting because he has a medical illness, a mental disorder, and, you know, a lot of family problems that were just stressing him out. That's why he quit acting. And it sucks because now he's locked up in a psych ward, and it's sad, man. It is. But for you grown-ass men or grown-ass women or Star Wars fans, you guys are fucked up people for making fun of Jake Lloyd if you did when he was a kid, or even just talk shit. I mean, criticizing is one thing, constructive criticism is one thing, but talking shit on a little kid when he's just doing his fucking job is just disgusting, dude. What more did you want Jake Lloyd to do as Anakin Skywalker as a kid? He was just doing what he was told, and I'm sorry, that's just a kid. Like, he's gonna act like kids are gonna act like kids in a movie, regardless if the script calls for it or not. Like, that's probably a realistic take on a kid who's supposed to be the chosen one. And now, let's get started on Ahmed Best. This man almost took his own life because you fuckers wanted to talk shit on Jar Jar Binks. Now, granted, as a kid, I always found Jar Jar Binks annoying, but even then, I knew it was just the movie that called for it. I know it wasn't the actor doing it on purpose to piss off people. Jar Jar Binks was literally sold just for kids. Literally for the kid audience, for toys, and for comic relief. And the fact that this man got bullied for being Jar Jar Binks is fucking sad, dude. It breaks my heart. And as someone who used to have those type of thoughts, of darkness, it fucking hurts my heart, dude. And I'm so glad that this dude came back to the Star Wars fandom and Star Wars saga and had his redemption in The Mandalorian Season 3 and a flashback when it's revealed that he saved Grogu during Order 66. Ahmed Best, I love you, man. I'm so glad you were able to look past that darkness and saw the light at the end of the tunnel and just rose above it. I am so sorry you got bullied. And to Jake Lloyd, I know you never really experienced the bullying as a kid. You experienced some of it in high school. But I am sorry that you had fans say all this nasty shit about you. It's only getting worse in the sequel trilogy right now. But Ahmad Best, Jake Lloyd, just know you got a fan right here, dude. You know, even as a kid, I understood that it wasn't you. It's just, you know, you're doing what you're told off the script. But for the ones that talk shit, for the ones that really, really went after Ahmad Best specifically, and even Jake Lloyd, shame on you. Shame on you. That is fucking disgusting, dude. You almost made a man take his own life because of it. Just think about that. And then years go by, we get the Clone Wars, which, you know, takes place between the events of Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. And it fills in the gaps, you know, of what happened during the prequel trilogy, before Revenge of the Sith and after Attack of the Clones. And it kind of made the prequel trilogy a little bit better in my opinion, because it filled in the gaps and plot holes, you know, with how General Grievous and Anakin never met face to face until Revenge of the Sith. And so I do commemorate the Clone Wars for filling in the gaps for the prequel trilogy, and it makes the prequel trilogy that's much better. We get introduced to Captain Rex and Ahsoka Tano. I fucking love Ahsoka Tano. And Dave Filoni, this man will go on to be a legend in the Star Wars fandom. And years go by after Clone Wars is canceled by Cartoon Network because Disney buys Lucasfilm and Star Wars in 2012. George Lucas sells Star Wars to Disney for a lot of money. I don't know how much. I think $3 billion, $9 billion. I believe $9 billion. I could be wrong. And boy, this is where the fucking hate and toxicity really, really starts to pour in. And we got to talk about it, folks. We have to talk about it. And so when Disney finally buys the rights to Star Wars and the entirety of Lucasfilms, a lot of fans were thinking that we were going to get Legends stuff adapted into canon. We were finally going to see an heir to the Empire storyline, or just Legends characters like, you know, Mara Jade, Anakin Solo, Jason Solo, just stuff like that, or Luke rebuilding the Jedi Order. But then Disney went on to say that Legends is its own canon. It's non-canon in the main canon, so we're going to make our own things. And it kind of raised a lot of red flags for a lot of Star Wars fans, but we had hope, you know, that maybe Star Wars was going to be a lot better under Disney. And, you know, whether you agree or not, Disney did make some good Star Wars content. But boy, let's take it to 2015 when they finally released Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Force Awakens gets released in December of 2015. And this is where a lot of fans were kind of mixed. We get the badass characters of Kylo Ren, Finn, Rey, and Poe Dameron. You know, I do like those characters, but then later on, I kind of start to dislike them a little bit more. But a lot of problems that people have with this movie was that it plays it way too safe, and it's basically just a New Hope 2.0. And I'm actually going to agree. I agree with that. I feel like this movie did play it a little bit too safe. It was basically a New Hope 2.0. With Starkiller being a replacement for the Death Star. You know, we fucking see Rey on a desert planet of Jakku, basically Tatooine, where we find Luke Skywalker. Poe Dameron and Finn are kind of like a mixture of Leia Organa and Han Solo. But we also get the return of our legacy characters, Chewbacca, Han Solo, Leia Organa, and of course Luke Skywalker, but that's towards the end. But I do like Han Solo in this movie. Granted, Harrison Ford does get his wish. Han Solo does get killed in this movie, and it sucks, and it hurt a lot of Star Wars fans, but hey, blame Harrison Ford. This dude wanted Han Solo to die in Empire Strikes Back. This dude literally just wanted Han Solo to die. But then a lot of people's complaint was that we didn't get enough time with the original trio. They wanted to see Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and Leia Organa share a scene together. And you know what? I agree. I do think it was a missed opportunity to have all three of them participate in a final battle in The Force Awakens, but you know, we all can't be beggars. We don't get what we want. And so Force Awakens, some consider it the best in the sequel trilogy, and I do agree to that extent. But boy, after Force Awakens, a lot of people were hyped. You know, like I said, a lot of people loved Force Awakens. Granted, you know, it was just a New Hope 2.0, and so we're thinking, oh man, the next film is going to be even more badass. What's going to come in store? And boy, let's just talk about it. The Last Jedi. Released in December 2017, Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. Now, this movie was fucking hyped. I remember this was basically Endgame, Empire Strikes Back for a lot of Star Wars fans. A lot of people said that this was going to be this generation's Empire Strikes Back. And I agreed. I thought this movie was going to be fucking dark. That this movie was going to be like Empire Strikes Back, considering the positive reception that Force Awakens had, even though it was just A New Hope 2.0. You know, we were going to see Luke. We all thought we were going to see Luke Skywalker as this fucking badass as he was in Legends canon, cutting down all these stormtroopers, having a badass battle with Supreme Chancellor Snoke, Kylo Ren, all this stuff. We're going to see him just take down the First Order. But man, oh man, when this movie released, this is where the peak of toxicity rise has come to fruition when it came to Star Wars. I remember when this movie released, there were so many YouTube videos, so many articles, and just so many fan pages saying that this movie ruined Star Wars for them. That they fucked up the character of Luke Skywalker. They made Rey into a Mary Sue. They fucked up the character of Finn. They reduced him to just that side character. They fucked up the entire Skywalker legacy. And you had another half of the Star Wars fandom that said this movie was good. It did what it did. You know, that people had their expectations high because they wanted to see Luke be this badass that he was in Legends canon. And it started a whole fucking war in the Star Wars fandom. And this is where I fucking hate it, dude. Because the actors started getting attacked personally through their social media and reality. And it was just fucking stupid, dude. When we're done talking about the sequel trilogy, we'll talk a lot about the toxicity, especially the ones I forgot in Force Awakens to mention. But when Last Jedi came out, I didn't like it. I didn't love it, but I didn't dislike it. I was like, whatever, you know. I didn't like. My main thing was that I didn't like the way Luke Skywalker was. But we'll get into that a little bit towards the end because eventually, I actually like the way Luke Skywalker was in this movie. Would I have been badass to see him be that Legends badass he was in Legends canon? Oh, for fucking sure, dude. I wanted to see this dude fucking mow down stormtroopers and fight Kylo Ren and Supreme Chancellor Snoke. But you know, we can't be beggars and choosers when it comes to Star Wars. But yeah, no. This movie started a fucking war in the fandom and it fucked over a lot of things. In December 2019, we get The Rise of Skywalker. Now, this movie was also hyped because, you know, during production, it was revealed that we were going to get the return of Emperor Palpatine. And I remember I was excited because in Legends, Emperor Palpatine does get cloned because he always had a backup plan. The man was smart. He knew that he was going to die, so he had a clone just in case. And so people don't realize that that was a thing in Legends canon, that Palpatine was cloned. But when Rise of Skywalker was released, it pretty much caused another war in the fandom, saying that this movie fucking sucked because J.J. Abrams was trying to retcon a lot of stuff that happened in The Last Jedi, that it couldn't be a movie on its own. And the biggest thing in this movie was that it was revealed that Rey was a Palpatine, and it was just a whole mess. And we're going to talk about how Disney kind of fumbled the bag when it came to this trilogy. But the biggest thing that people hated was that Rey called herself a Skywalker in the end. When Rey tells everyone that she's a Skywalker, and a lot of people in the fandom did not fucking like that. Did I like it? Whatever. You know, blood's thicker than water, if you ever heard that quote. And Luke and Leia, when we see them as Force Ghosts, they kind of give Rey permission to use their surname Skywalker. So the Skywalker legacy, you know, continues on through Rey. Granted, I do wish Kylo Ren was redeemed and went back to being Ben Solo. That way it could have been Ben Solo and Rey Skywalker creating a whole new Jedi Order. That way we technically do have a Skywalker living, not just one using the surname. But yeah, and we also get Lando Calrissian's return in this movie, but you know, I felt like people weren't really hyped for Lando. But yeah, Rise of Skywalker, man, like I said, not as bad as The Last Jedi from what I can remember. But yeah, it was still pretty bad, you know. And people thought we were going to see all the Jedi towards the end. This is where people were starting to call Rey Skywalker a Mary Sue. But yeah, no. This movie just had a lot of hate towards it. And he said it was just such a disgrace to end the Skywalker saga on this movie. Now that we're done talking about the sequel trilogy created by Disney, this is where we're going to have to address the toxicity. And boy, you guys were fucking just worse when it came to the sequels than you did with the prequels. Now, let's talk about the Force Awakens toxicity in the Star Wars fandom, because I remember this one clear as day. And so in the first teaser trailer for Force Awakens, it opens up with the desert land of Jakku, and Finn appears all of a sudden, and he's a stormtrooper. And man, I remember seeing these fucking comments. People were saying that a black person could not be a stormtrooper. I shit you not, I remember seeing those type of comments. People were hating on them, and whether they were jokes or not, this is where the toxicity just started fucking kicking in, and it's so fucking stupid, dude. And John Boyega has said that he's had a lot of racist remarks when it came to the Star Wars saga by Star Wars fans, and it's just so fucking stupid, dude. What, black people, Latinos can exist, or even Asians can exist in the Star Wars universe? There's diversity everywhere, dude. It's fucking stupid, dude. And then, you know, people were saying that, oh, Rey was starting to become a Mary Sue in this movie. And granted, I kind of do wish that Rey was written a little bit better in this movie. I wish she would have beaten Kylo and using her brain instead of beating him in a lightsaber fight. But like I said, that's the writer's choice. It's not Daisy Ridler's fault, you know, that Rey ended up being Kylo in a lightsaber fight. When Last Jedi came out, people fucking attacked the actress of Rose Tico, played by Kelly Marie Tran. And this is where it gets fucking disgusting. They said that she was a complete bitch. They literally made an entire racist wiki page calling her some racist Asian slur that I don't even want to fucking say. I'm just going to have it on screen right now. It is fucking disgusting, dude. She deserved no hate. And it got to the point where she literally deactivated her entire social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, everything because of the fucking hate she received. You guys are pieces of shit, dude. She did not deserve any of that fucking hate at all. John Boyega was getting more hate in this movie because now he was just labeled as the black sidekick. That's not John Boyega's fault, dude. That's literally the planning of Disney and the writers of this movie. It's not John Boyega's fault. And then even Daisy Ridley was getting some hate. Granted, Daisy Ridley said that Star Wars fans have been nicer in person, but behind the scenes on screens, they're cowards, and so they're probably talking shit online. They're saying she was becoming a Mary Sue, and to some degree, I do agree because I wish Rey was written a little bit better. We'll talk a little bit more towards the end. But yeah, and then the biggest one ever was that they said the character of Luke Skywalker was fucking ruined in this movie. And this is where I'll talk about Luke right now. And I get it, people. I get it. We wanted Luke to be this badass that he was in Legends. The hero of the New Republic. The badass. I get it. The man who recreated the Jedi Order and became one with the Force. I get it. I wanted to see that Luke Skywalker too. But I also like the way Luke Skywalker was in this movie. It was a realistic approach to the character, a humanized approach, because he is just human at the end of the day. Yes, he's a Jedi Master, but he's a human at the end of the day. This is a man that has seen war, saw his father die, saw thousands, if not millions of his friends die, fighting the Empire, and for what? Him thinking he was the last Jedi in the universe, you know, until he met Ahsoka Tano and plenty of others. But this man has seen war. He's seen what the dark side has done. He's seen what the Empire can do. And so you can't blame him for being such a, not a sissy cat, but you can't blame him for wanting to be in isolation. And I know Mark Hamill has gone on a court before the movie release and said that that wasn't his Luke Skywalker. That's not the way he remembers Luke Skywalker doing. That's not the way he would do it, but this is when he read the script. But then when the movie got released and when he finally saw it, he started warming up to that version of Luke Skywalker because, like I said, it's a realistic approach to it. It's a realistic take to the character of Luke Skywalker. And when people said, oh, Luke Skywalker would never try to kill Ben in his sleep, he saved his dad, even though he was the Dark Lord of the Sith and murdered millions of people in the galaxy. Yes, that is entirely what Luke would do. He didn't try to kill Ben. He didn't try to kill Ben Solo. He just got scared because he sensed the darkness. And if you want to argue about that, what about when Luke almost killed his own dad in Return of the Jedi, literally beat this man to death and chopped off his arm, was close to death? You're telling me that that's not the same Luke Skywalker. That is a very Luke Skywalker thing to do. And just like in Return of the Jedi, Luke Skywalker realizes his mistake, and he looks at his saber and says and thinks, "What the fuck am I doing? This is my nephew. I should be talking to him." And that's when shit goes south, and Luke loses his Jedi Temple and the new Jedi Order. I get it. Luke could have been written a little bit better in this movie. You could have written that scene a whole lot better when Luke pulls out the lightsaber against Ben Solo. But you can't blame him. You know, you can't blame Mark Hamill. You can't blame these actors for doing what they're just doing. And you're attacking Rian Johnson because of it. You know, it's just stupid. It makes sense when you watch the movie and when you understand what they're trying to go for with the realistic take on Luke Skywalker. But let me just say this. How more unrealistic and how dumb would it have been if this was the badass Legends Luke that went into hiding? You guys would have complained about, if he's this badass, why is he in hiding? Luke realizes he fucked up with the dark side. He realizes he fucked up with Ben Solo. And it's just dumb the way a lot of people were attacking this scene when they should have looked at it a little bit more constructively, because people change over time. You're not going to be the same person you were in your 20s or 30s. As time goes on, you're a different person, and Luke Skywalker was different. He was just tired of the fighting. He was just tired of war. He just wanted peace. He wanted the Jedi just to create peace. And it's just so stupid, you know, that a lot of people just didn't understand that, or they just wanted to hate just to hate. And I don't understand how you can hate Luke Skywalker in this movie, because he does the most Jedi thing ever, and he uses the Force in a non-violent way to beat Kylo Ren in this movie, and he finally dies and becomes one with the Force. If that isn't the most Jedi thing ever, I don't know what is. And if people take this as me defending Last Jedi, it's not really. I mean, yes it is, but at the same time, if you still don't like the movie, that's totally okay. I'm not here to change anyone's mind. I'm just saying that a lot of people were hating on this movie when it didn't deserve to be hated on. It didn't ruin anyone's childhood, because you still have the original movies to watch if you never want to watch the sequels. Rise of Skywalker, Toxicity, hate. The only three I really know that I remember was, you know, people calling Rey Mary Sue, that she was finally the fucking Mary Sue that she was planned out to be. Rey using the name Skywalker, which she shouldn't have been, even though she's a Palpatine. And, you know, the infamous line, somehow Palpatine has returned. That's the only hate I really remember when it came to Rise of Skywalker. Rise of Skywalker is my least favorite. I don't think it's a horrible, horrible movie, but it's definitely the weakest Star Wars movie in the Star Wars saga. Now, are the Disney sequel trilogy movies perfect? Fuck no. Fuck no, they're not perfect, dude. They have so many bad writing, and, you know, I blame the writers, I don't blame the actors. You fuckers have to understand that. But were they horrible as people made them out to seem? No. I enjoyed the sequels. You know, they're not my favorite. I'll always prefer the original trilogy. But, you know, the sequels could have been done a little bit more better. And this is where Disney fucked up, is that they should have sat everyone down in a room and talked about one story they wanted to do in the Skywalker saga. You know, what they wanted the character of Rey to be. Because Daisy Ridley confirmed, and others confirmed, that they changed so many things during the production of movies for all three sequels, that at one point Rey was rumored to be the daughter of Luke Skywalker. Take that with a grain of salt. I don't know how true that is. But another one that was confirmed was that Rey was going to be a Kenobi. We don't know how. I don't know how. But somehow she was going to be a Kenobi, and that was the story. And then eventually during, you know, Rise of Skywalker, they said, no, you're going to be a Palpatine. So things were changing during the production of the sequel trilogy, and it fucking sucks, because I wish Disney just sat everyone down and agreed on one story on who was going to be who. And I think the biggest flop that Disney did that could have made this whole trilogy a lot better was if they made Finn the fucking Jedi in this trilogy. I remember Force Awakens was so heavily marketed as Finn being the hero of this trilogy, and I don't mind Rey being a Jedi, that's whatever. I just wish Rey was written better. I don't blame Daisy Ridley. She did what she did with the script. She did what she could, but I really wish we saw Rey do a little bit more training as a Jedi, kind of like what Luke did in A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. And I wish we'd see her fail, because to me, it's like she's a little too perfect. Not a complete Mary Sue per se, because we do see some moments as when she's struggling, fighting Snoke and just other things. But she seems a little bit too perfect, where she doesn't have flaws. And plus, she didn't get her hand cut off. You're not really a Skywalker. But all jokes aside, no, yeah, I do wish Rey was written better in the sequel trilogy. Poe Dameron, I'm whatever. I like Oscar Isaac, but I always kind of saw him as like the Han Solo of this trilogy. He's just someone there, you know. I do wish that Finn was a Jedi of this trilogy. How fucking awesome would that have been? Former Stormtrooper Grunt turned Jedi Knight going against Kylo Ren in the entirety of the First Order. That would have been fucking cool, dude. And I'm pretty sure John Boyega thought he was going to be a Jedi. And then they reduced him to just being the sidekick that calls out Rey every fucking time. And it's so annoying, dude. But the rumors had it that Disney knew that China wasn't going to like a black lead in a movie that wasn't going to do well. So I don't know how true that is, but they really fucked the character of Finn. Now, Kylo Ren, I actually do like Kylo Ren. To me, he's the best character in this trilogy, in the sequel trilogy. Granted, he does have his emo moments, crybaby Kylo. But Adam Driver does what he could with the script. And like I said, it's the writing in his movies that are just so off. And it really sucks that Disney didn't take the time to just sit everyone down and agree on one story, who characters are going to be, what was going to happen. Fully flesh out the story. That way, you have one story to tell. And if you want multiple directors, like I said, sit everyone down or just have one director that has a vision for this trilogy. That way, it's more coherent and we wouldn't, have the fucking toxicity that we have when it comes to the sequel trilogy. But Disney has done some good in the Star Wars fandom too, the Star Wars saga. My personal favorites, what they've done was Force Awakens, Rogue One, Solo, The Mandalorian, even though I wasn't really a big fan of Season 3, The Bad Batch, the final season of Clone Wars, Chef's Kiss, Perfection, the Ahsoka show, and I actually do like the Kenobi show, and I like Rebels. So, like I said, Disney's doing Star Wars good. They're not doing it really bad, but that's just my opinion. Anything I want Star Wars fans to take away from this video is that we have to learn to be better fans, dude. I get it. It's okay to dislike stuff and like stuff, but it's not okay to make fun of someone that might like something that you like, or they might dislike something that you like. Like, for instance, let's just say I hated the sequels, like I wasn't really a big fan of them, and someone attacked me for not liking the sequels, accusing me of being misogynistic or racist. Maybe I just don't like them, or in vice versa. Let's just say I'm making fun of someone that likes the sequels. Why? That's stupid. Let people like what they want and let people dislike what they want. That's perfectly okay. But to me, it's not okay when you're being a fucking asshole and a dick and attacking the actors personally, whether it's by death threats in the mail or hate comments or personally messaging them on some social media and just fucking hating on them. That's stupid. And for those that say, oh, well, how do we know you're not going to listen to other opinions? I've listened to other opinions about when it comes to Star Wars TV shows and movies. I respect them, whether we agree on the same opinion or disagree. Respectfully disagree. But I've also dealt with people that were just fucking trolls and being assholes, and I just ignored them because they don't have valid points. As long as you have in my opinion, as long as you have valid points and constructive criticism, whether or not you like the Star Wars project, movie, or TV show, that's fine because you have valid points. Now, if you're just being a hater, get the fuck out of here, you know what I'm saying? And we have to be better just in general, dude. And for the ones that say that Disney ruined Star Wars, think of it like this. You assholes bullied George Lucas and a lot of the cast during the prequel trilogy, and it shows. There are many articles about it. There's a lot of hate mail. Even George Lucas said that there was a lot of fucking assholes when it came to the prequel trilogy, and he wanted to do a sequel trilogy that had Luke, Leia, and Han as the main characters. But let's just say he never sold to Disney. You assholes that made fun of him and bully the actors for the prequel trilogy would have done the same thing when it comes to the sequel trilogy. You're only loving the prequel trilogy now just because Disney did lay the egg when it came to the sequel trilogy and many other things. You guys would have fucking hated George Lucas no matter what, dude. And like I said, Disney has done good by Star Wars somewhat, by giving us some good Star Wars TV shows and movies. But it's a never-ending cycle of hate, and it's just so dumb. I don't expect this video to stop the Star Wars hate. I don't. I just hope this video opens up a lot of fans' mind, and that you learn to just be respectable, dude. Because like I said, it's okay if you don't like the prequel trilogy. It's okay if you like it. It's okay if you don't like certain stuff in the Star Wars saga. It's fine. And it's okay if you like stuff in the Star Wars saga. But it's not okay to bash someone if they have a different opinion, because it's just fucking stupid, dude. We should all be united as Star Wars fans. That's just my opinion. Whether or not we like or dislike the same stuff, it just needs to come to the point where we all need to be united. I'm going to do it for the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoy. If you're new here, please subscribe, like, and comment. I want to hear your guys' opinion about the whole toxicity when it comes to Star Wars. You know, do you believe there's toxicity in Star Wars? I hope you believe, because there is toxicity in the Star Wars fandom. Fuck, let me know. What's your favorite Star Wars movie? What's your favorite Star Wars TV show? What's your least favorite TV show? What's your least favorite Star Wars movie? Let me know in the comments below, and please keep it respectable. I'll keep it 100 and respectful with you as long as you can do the same thing. But as always, be good people, take care of others, take care of yourselves, and we'll catch you next episode. Peace out, everyone.